Hello and welcome to this tutorial for beginners. It's a script tutorial which covers the keyboard input and tells you how to change something in your scene by pressing a key button on your keyboard. So I will tell you what the code does step by step so that you will be able to follow and hopefully learn. First, I want to show what the program does. I have a scene and just one model. It's a box. And in the Data Explorer you can see here's my scene, here's my box, and I have a box AI which is attached to the box and a main AI model which is attached to the scene. So what the program does, if I press play nothing happens, but if I press the R button on the keyboard the object starts to rotate, and if I press the R button again it stops. Very basic, very simple, but that's exactly what we want. So to achieve this you have to work with handlers. Maybe if you search the program you already found a category called user handler, and here are some functions like, for example, on keyboard key up or on keyboard key down. Now maybe you thought, well, that's perfect, I want my box to move somewhere, I will use this function on keyboard key down and attach this to my box. Well, that's not gonna work. All keyboard input have to be attached to the main AI model. You don't have to name it main AI model, but it has to be the user main AI. That may be inconvenient at first, but if your programs get bigger you will experience that it is quite helpful to have it like that. So to achieve that the box and not the main user AI model moves when I press something, you have to get something like a handler from the box, that is a unique address. There are several solutions. I will show you two solutions. The first solution will be that the main AI model itself will search for the box and retrieve the handler for the box. The second one is that the box itself passes its own handler to the main AI. So this is, I will show you how I did this. The onInit function will be triggered once when the game is started, and here I have a little code to get the handler of the box. It's very simple. You can tag an object, that is something like name an object, by right-clicking the box and select Edit Selection Tags. Then I have the tag box, and I search my scene, my current scene, which I need a handler for. This is the model code for this function, get tagged object. You need the handler of the scene and then the tag you are searching for. The tag is box, and the scene is the current user scene, which I defined in this code. So after I got the handler of my box, I pass this, or I store this in a variable called hbox, handler box. You do this by putting the handler between brackets. This is like a get and set method. If you don't know what this is, search Google, they explain. So we have now our handler in our variable, which is an type object, and the init value is nil, which is like nothing. As we do this once on startup, now this variable will have the handler of the box. Now we can go to the on keyboard down event and send a message to the box that when I press the key button, which is declared here, the box will get somehow a trigger, and where the main AI model tells the box that the key is pressed. This is achieved by the code send event, and here you have the model. you need the handler of the object, which obviously is in our hblocks variable. Then you need the name of the AI script you declared for the box, which is box AI here. And in this box AI we have to have a handler called onRotate. So there it is. You can add this by adding a custom handler, and this onRotate does something we see with a variable called rotating. I added the variable here, and this variable is a boolean type and init value is false. So when I press the R button, this variable rotating either will be set to false or to true, depending on what it is before. If it is true, then it will become false, and if it is false, it will become true. I changed the variable depending on its state. So why do I do this? Because I have another handler on enter frame which is triggered every step in the game, and here I have the code: if this variable rotating is true, then rotate the object. If it's not, do nothing. So very easy, very simple. I want here to add something for the log message which will appear here when I start the program. That is, the first line will be rotating double point, and the second line will be either the value of the variable rotating itself, either it's false or true. So if we start our game, I always forget to compile the things, so now we can restart the game and play. So now I will clear that for now. If I press the R button, the cube starts to rotate, and we have here our log message. The rotating variable is true. So now if I press again the R button, rotating is false and the cube stops. Very easy, very simple. So this was the first possibility to get the handler to the AI model. A second possibility, which I find somehow more elegant, would be to do this by letting the box send its own handler to the main AI. This can be done via the user point send event. This is somehow the same as in the main AI model on keyboard down, the object send event. This time we don't do it with the object, we do it with the user. So here's the model programming structure. HUser, that means the handle of the user, which is the current user, application point get current user. Again the main AI model, which in this case is the main AI model. And we have a new function called onSendHandler, and we pass the handler of this object. So onSendHandler has to be in the main AI model, and we just pass the handler we pass to this function, we again pass to the variable. Now this does exactly the same as before. It's a second possibility to pass the handler. It's always the problem to get this handler of the box to the main AI. Of course you can also create the box at runtime, and hereby you always will have the handler of your object in the main AI. So you can address it and do something with the keyboard. Always remember Bob Ross, a famous TV painter. He said, "We don't make mistakes, we just have happy accidents." Thank you.